We first got a glimpse of this game a few years back and have been frothing at the mouth ever since. Well, the wait is over, folks. Don't you worry. We took some time to talk to a few people about the game that single-handedly increased PS3 system sales by 4 bajillion %. It's a real statistic. Look it up. Here it is, guys. Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots.
Metal Gear, it's generally the storyline that actually keeps everyone going.
You got Snake, who's an amazing hero, and not in your normal sense.
It's very character driven, and I think that's what really draws people towards the game. More than the gameplay, I think, at times.
The characters and the story.
From beginning to end, it keeps you coming back because you want to know what's going to happen next.
The fact that after 20 years the storyline actually ends. And this is like the only company that's actually dared to do an ending.
What do you think? Is your age of heroes finally over?
I'm no hero. Never was.
Quality of the story is actually higher than the quality in the previous games.
This one really draws you in immediately.
It's really deep and there's a lot of plot twists going on between characters.
It sets everything up beautifully.
It's for the first time that I thought you could really see Snake's mortality in terms of his age. You really want to know if he still got it too, like if he's able to still do this, the same things.
It touches on Big Boss's background, touches on the origin of all three of the Snakes, and also explains every question that we wanted answered.
There are a lot of really long cutscenes in the game. Do you think this adds to the overall greatness or detaches people from the action for too long?
In some cases, it adds to the story. However, some of the cutscenes felt a little, you didn't need it to be this long.
From what I saw, they really tried to explain a lot of the game, like just a lot of what's going on at the moment, but some of it was a little too cerebral at times, I think, for some players who really just want to get into the action.
No, I think, they're trying to make the games into movies. Like, you are the hero, and I think it adds well to it. They didn't overdo it to the point where you're just sitting there like, rolling your eyes in the back of your head trying to fall asleep. It keeps you actually awake. It keeps you wanting to play the game.
The majority of the cutscenes, I'd say probably about 80% of them, actually just completely engross the player and add to the overall story. With the general game, cut the cutscenes, get more on the action. With Metal Gear, which has been highly story-driven from the beginning, a lot of the cutscenes are a must.
Is Metal Gear Solid 4 something that someone who may not have played previous titles can pick up and play and appreciate it, or are they just going to be endlessly lost in backstory?
I think some things, they may be a little lost, but what I noticed is that what's convenient about the game is that at times it'll show you a flashback from even the first game to kind of make you quick, just not to give you a whole backstory, but give you the impression that Snake has met this certain person before, or this has happened before. It's pretty standalone in some ways.
The majority of gamers actually would be lost, but they give a general background for each character.
Metal Gear Solid 4 is that type of game that if you've never played the series before and you played the game, you will want to go back and find out the plot holes in the story, so you can have the whole story from beginning to end. It's that type of game that you're like, at the end you're like, holy smokes, let me play the other games so I would see what I missed on.
You need to play the previous games to enjoy the entire experience.
A little hard for newcomers to get into, but for the people who have been with it the entire way, perfect. The story is one thing, but the gameplay is different.
This one, I think, really emphasized on the gun battles, which I think people really wanted to, because I couldn't really remember a time where Snake really just cut loose and just went all out.
It doesn't take away from the stealth and tactical elements. They're still there, and they're still the heart of the game, and that's what's most important.
It's open to more combat, but it has a fair balance of stealth.
You can either play it as a shooter, you can play it as a stealth game, you can play it as a cinematic experience, you can play it as an action game, you can play it any number of ways, and the way the game actually runs, it keeps you coming back each time, and you can always do something different.
They definitely opened it up. From what I noticed from the first third of the game, a lot of it was centered around just all-out gun battles. There was at least 2 major ones that spanned about 15 minutes.
These are all basically open worlds, and say there's a building, you can go to the front door, you can go in through the side door, you can go over the wall, you can either wait for stuff to happen, or you can go and act and make whatever you want happen.
Can you hide in a box still?
I would say yes.
That makes me very happy. Are there any new features to the stealth or combat that you feel should be mentioned?
Definitely, I appreciate the radar. I think there are some really tight spots in this game. Like I said, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but having that radar does help you plot and plan better.
Every single weapon is actually customizable. So like you can put a scope on your gun, you can put a laser sight on it. They basically incorporate like every type of person, whether you like to kill or you like to stay hidden or you just like to trank.
The camouflage in Snake Eater is upgraded to like an automatic.
Basically, you don't have to constantly go and switch. You stay close enough to a surface for a certain amount of time, and his camouflage automatically changes to that.
Does his mustache blend in as well?
No.
So you've just got, guards walking past and they see a floating push broom mustache?
Depends on the percentage of the camo.
I think they wanted to emphasize his age more than anything, and I do appreciate that in respect, but they didn't need it. But like I said, a person who understands where they're trying to go to, kudos to them for trying to make Snake look different.
Do you think that Metal Gear has made a good, solid transition to the next-gen console, or was there room for improvement?
There's always room for improvement because the whole part about him being old, it felt like they actually copped out on. Like everything in the story is perfect, but that felt copped out on, so that could have been a little room for improvement.
It's very hard to say what they could have done better. I mean, I'm not one of those people who dives into those games and tries to pick apart everything.
The length of the game, I hate to say, it's a little bit short, but not as short as Metal Gear Solid 2.
The other feature I had a problem with was that you have to be unequipped and use R1 to choke people instead of just going up behind them and hitting square like in the old games. I'm like, can I choke you? Can I choke you? No, why can't I? Ding, you're alerted. Oh, shit.
Sometimes the AI can be very frustrating. I mean that in the best way possible. It's a very intelligent AI.
There were some past games where you could just run right past them, they wouldn't even notice, like the first one. This one, you really have to take your time, plan your strategy, plan your route.
They will recognize you. They will chase you. They will make your life hell. So you can't really. There's very little room for making errors in this game. Overall, as a game, it's just amazing.
Graphics are almost perfect.
It's rendered beautifully, the sound is great.
Shows what a next generation system can do.
Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being a perfect game, what rank would you give Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots?
I give it a 9.
A solid 9?
Yes.
Definitely a solid 9.9. I mean, it's near as perfect as a game. It's an instant classic. Its story is fantastic. It earns every bit of praise that it deserves.
Since I can't ever say anything is perfect, I'm going to go with 9.9. Since there's always some flaw I probably overlooked, I'll never give anything a perfect score. 9.9 is perfect for me.
I can't give like a 11, right? So I could say 10.
10, a full 10.
Yeah, 10.
That's an awesome score. And what's a show that gives you a voice?
The show that gives all gamers a voice is Gamer Reaction.